This is it right here.
Combining a team of reporters, columnists, and commentators.
Don't you ever talk about me!
Are you serious?
Jack Ebling has brought thought-provoking discussion.
What are you doing?
That's a damn coaching mistake!
Opinion.
The customer is the one who decides when the future gets here.
Oh, no! The ship is on fire!
You have to check the report.
Are you kidding me?
That game was fixed.
And overall infotainment.
I'll take Jim Harbaugh.
What has he done?
Crazy Cootie coming at you!
Quiet, please. In exactly 15 seconds, we'll be on the air.
Thanks, big fella.
Don't you ever come back here again!
No arguments. Those are called ass tunes.
So buckle up.
You talking to me?
It's time for The Drive with Jack Ebling.
Yeah, for some reason or another, you sound a little taller on radio.
Great afternoon, Greater Lansing and beyond, and welcome to The Drive with Jack. It's a Spotlight, a radio network. Jack Ebling here with my producer, Boston Rob. Begin another big sports week. 85 degrees here in mid-Michigan, and going to get warmer than that Wednesday and Thursday. So summer is here maybe a couple of weeks before the calendar says it should be. We have a great show planned for you, and we want to start with a guy who was just here in studio last week and a buddy of his. I want to introduce Mike Garland. Of course, you know him as a longtime Michigan State assistant basketball coach, Tom Izzo's right-hand man, and he is the focus of Champions of the Heart. That is a gala tomorrow night at Breslin Center. Some very important educational information coming from that. Mike, you ready?
Yes, I am, Jack.
Well, we are too. We're excited, and we're just as excited to talk to our other guest in this segment. He is Jiri Fischer. He is a career Detroit Red Wing. He is a Stanley Cup champion. Jiri, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the drive. Hello, Coach.
We look forward to seeing you tomorrow night. You're going to be the featured speaker, and so many people watched you play, and they know all about your career. And as many things as you did positively for Detroit fans on the ice, I think you've done something even more important for fans off the ice with the education that you have helped, and Mike is certainly involved with, about cardiac arrest. As you look at that, why is that such an important part of your life today?
Well, one, it's fun, and surviving cardiac arrest is certainly bouncing back in life. It's been a lot of learning and how to kind of shift from being a career athlete into real world, going in the office and, working with young athletes, raising a family, and try to share the experience. And, I witnessed firsthand when I was going through cardiac rehab. This is, dating back almost 20 years ago when I had my incident during the Wings game. I was saved, and our team doctor did a phenomenal job reacting quickly and knowing what to do and being prepared. And I realized that it's important for everybody to kind of, not be nervous in those situations. And that comes with training, and that comes with being prepared, and staying calm, knowing what to do really helps. And I hope more people will have a good life like I have.
Mike, what did you know about Jiri and his situation happened before yours, and when did you meet?
Well, one of my board members, Luis Morales, knew Jiri's doctor, Dr. Colucci, who was actually there right on the bench when Jiri went through his situation. And she reached out to him. We were actually looking for a keynote speaker for our event tomorrow. Yeah. And, fortunately for us, Luis knew of Jiri and his situation, and, there was no better person for us to bring in than someone like myself that had went through, had been a victim of cardiac arrest. and it's just kind of a no-brainer. And shortly after that, him and I sat down and had lunch, and we actually shared what had happened to each other, and his organization has, I don't know if you know this or researched it, but his organization has actually trained over 30,000 people.
Yes.
So you can correct me on that if I'm wrong, but and still moving on and trying to do the same thing, trying to get more hands on hearts.
Yeah. How many people have been trained as a result of this effort, Yuri? It might be 30,001 now.
Well, those numbers go to Mid-Michigan only, and we do our own event annually in Mid-Michigan in Saginaw, and so it's a small piece of what the Michigan geography covers, and it's been excellent. And so, anytime there is an opportunity to share the message and maybe what can be done in the community, I'm all for it. And it's been really fantastic, training people as a start and saving people as a result. And then those people who get to live again, they seem to spread the passion around and throughout their communities and their families. And it's great for everybody.
Here, talk about Dr. Colucci, and he is also going to be in attendance at Breslin Center, I understand.
And he's excited.
He's excited to be there. Great. We're excited to see him. Going back to the moment in question, did you have any indication that something was not right, or were you as surprised as everyone else who saw you there at the end of the bench?
Well, whether anybody expects there might be something wrong, I think at the end of the day, anyone that experiences cardiac arrest is surprised if they get to survive. And I got to survive, and certainly there was no indications of that will happen. But I did have a couple previous conditions that were a very gray area. Now we're going back 20 years ago, and the sudden cardiac death in athletes was not as investigated back then. There wasn't really too many comparables, and so I did have abnormality that I kept playing with, and that was my own choice. And all I wanted to do was play hockey, and being that reckless athlete, a lot of us feel like we are, even today, and. And I was lucky enough to be around the right people, and Tony let the charge. He was prepared, and he knew what to do. He orchestrated the whole team, and they saved my life. So I went unconscious on the bench and woke up for about 40 minutes later in the hospital, and didn't really know what happened. To this day, I basically missed 40 minutes of my life, and first, my initial thought was I had a concussion. I hear the stories all the time from my ex-teammates how they got knocked out during the game, drove themselves to the hospital, and then they really, they were wondering what they were doing there. And that's kind of like the typical stuff that stories you hear in hockey. And then shortly after, when I had IVs hanging out of my arms, I realized it was something a little bit more serious, and then the aftermath happened. Obviously, transitioning into post career life, and it's been a lot of learning.
Here you talk about continuing to play, coming back, and was that a scary decision? How did you go about making that?
Well, the NHL career was over right then, as we live in a country where, a lot of things are, legally protected, I guess, as well. And, taking the risk again, playing. And, I play on my own in charity games every year. I try to play a few, and usually for a very good cause, and, at my own risk. But I was never allowed play back in the NHL with the abnormality that I already had with my heart, and with what happened, that was not a good combination.
Yeah.
And so it was time to move on, and but moving on, just even get back to real life, and walking up the stairs and not being afraid to going into another cardiac arrest. And it took a while, and I had one on the bench, and then I had another one at home. And another week later, I had another one at home, and I experienced 3 within 2 weeks, and so that really shook me up, and started going to cardiac rehab and try to build the confidence back up, and try to get the metabolism, strong enough again that it wouldn't be happening. Been lucky ever since.
Yuri, is there any advice you would have for any of our listeners out there, our viewers? Is it just a matter of the genetic lottery? Is there anything that people can do to reduce the chances of cardiac arrest?
Well, I would say reducing chances is very important to get tested every year. And we first time I got tested was in about 2002, and I was about 3 years prior to my cardiac arrest. And like I said, it was the research has evolved, and from the standard EKG to echoes to stress echoes to MRIs with screening, and there's additional tests that you can do today. I would say I take it very seriously, and I have 2 boys that play hockey, and try to get them tested every year, and just to make sure everything is healthy and everything is staying in track of being healthy, and try to prevent any incidents from happening. And then when we can do that, test annually. I would say starting with the simple stuff. It's very important, and then if something bad happens, then be around the right people.
Yeah.
That's the best advice I got.
Yeah, I'm talking about being around the right people. Dr. Tony Colucci being right there. And
he's the guy.
Mike has talked about his story many times, that a couple of Good Samaritans stopping with hands-on within 4 minutes makes all the difference in the world. If you had been skating on your own and you had collapsed that way, we might not be having this discussion.
Well, for sure, it would be over, and I know it. And so there's different reasons why people go to cardiac arrests, and you see in football some guys going through cardiac arrest after impact, and they never have any previous history of any issues with the heart. One incident happened in Buffalo a few years back, and that happened after a hard hit, and then player gets to survive with the medical attention he received. And in day-to-day life, it happens on golf courses. It happens on playing pickup basketball in community centers. There's actually, the stats are, there's more likely cardiac arrest happens in the stands of a hockey arena. When there's 20,000 people there, there's more of those that happen that nobody will ever find out about. And it's really the bystanders taking charge and knowing what to do and saving somebody's life. It's crucial.
We're talking with Yuri Fisher. Of course, you know him from his days with the Detroit Red Wings, and Mike Garland, a longtime college basketball coach, a college teammate, backcourt partner of Tom Izzo. Yuri, 2 very quick hockey questions here. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, when you're introduced and you're associated with the Detroit Red Wings, what are you proudest of?
The tradition of really day-to-day work, and I was lucky enough to be drafted by the Wings in 1998, and I've stayed with the organization ever since in different capacities. Started as a drafted prospect. The Wings really care about people. It's family-owned business, owned by the Ilitch family, and I see at the NHL level, many teams are owned by corporations, and there's still something about it being owned by a family. I remember being a player when Mr. Ilitch and Mrs. Ilitch would come down to the locker room and, really care about their players, and remembered all of our names, and remembered our spouses, our kids' names, and made us really feel like at home, and that they really cared. And it's I have more Red Wings T-shirts than any of my other clothing, and I wear it proudly. And they saved my life, and it's really a great family business. That's all our employees, including myself, we're being treated like a family. And you go to work, you put your work in, and you're rewarded. It's great to be part of it.
I'm sure there can be some sort of a trade here where you have some Michigan State gear and Mike Garland is wearing Red Wings paraphernalia before this is over. Yuri, I'm sure you're watching, paying attention to the Stanley Cup playoffs now in the finals. I have to ask you, how have the Vegas Golden Knights gotten this done? They swept Colorado, the best team in the West, if not in all of hockey, and now here they are up 2-1. What an incredible game Saturday night. But how have they done this in less than a decade?
Well, that's a long-winded answer to that question. I think the rules for the expansion draft when they were coming in were very favorable to make potential right decisions, and they did. I was at their first series against Utah scouting, and I saw the first 3 games live, and they were just kind of finding the groove in the playoffs. They, as you know, they changed their coach with less than 15 games left in regular season, and moving on from very good coach Cassidy that they brought in John Tortorella, and seemed like that team got new impulse. Their goalie started to play really well. They got new structure in place, but mainly I think all the guys bought in. And the change was really, good timing for them. And in the first 3 games that I watched live, they were really kind of finding their chemistry. They were moving their lines, and now they look like a really solidified team. Their stars are playing great. Their role players are playing well. Their goalie's doing a job. And they're really hard to play against. They seem like they really play for each other. And, for me working for another organization, their competitor, it's nice to watch. It's a good learning experience. Try to take the most out of what they've done, and obviously that's where we want to be.
Maybe it's appropriate, guys, that the Golden Knights goaltender and the New York Knicks leading rebounder, both named Hart. So this is the right week for that. Yuri, thanks so much for joining us. I can't wait to see you tomorrow night at Breslin Center. Mike, let our listeners know, viewers again, I don't know if those last couple of tickets have been taken or not, but certainly the auction items, you have as good an auction lined up as any I have seen. And it's possible for people who cannot physically be there to still be contributors to Champions of the Heart. Tell us very quickly about that.
Yeah, well, first of all, if they're interested in any of the auction items, the live auction items, and we have a silent auction as well, they can go to my website, which is thechampionsoftheheart.org, thechampionsoftheheart.org, and, they'll see right there, it'll say 2026 Champions of the Heart Gala, and it'll open up, and they'll be able to see the different items as well. Yeah. Now, it's, last week we had my event planner on, Ashley Willis. Yes. I think that she's probably has closed there's ticket sales on there. Yeah. But if anybody is interested in actually donating to our organization, they will be able to do that right on there as well.
And you have an enthusiastic young auctioneer working tomorrow night too, right?
Yes.
Some guy named Izzo.
Tom Izzo will Tom Izzo will be there. This will be his 3rd year of doing our live auction, and he does a tremendous job, as well as his jersey will actually be auctioned off, more than likely by a couple of his players, Jeremy Fears and Coin Carr. So we're looking to have fun. Our our gala is about fun, and we look forward to having our special speaker there and special guests, Tony Colucci and Yuri Fisher, and it's going to be quite an event.
Yuri, Mike, thanks so much for joining us. I can't wait to see you tomorrow night.
All righty, Jack. Thanks for having us on.
Right.
We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
We will be right back, and we're going to talk with Brad Galli from The Brad Galli Show. You know him from Channel 7 in Detroit, one of the nation's top local sportscasters, and now it's in a whole new world, and pretty exciting stuff. We'll be right back on The Drive with Jack.
Jack Ebling here with my good friend Matt Sloan at Graph of Okemos. Spring is here, and so is good news for lease customers.
You got that right, Jack. Pretty exciting news, both at Nissan and Chevy. We have a lease pull ahead starting right now. So if you're bored with your lease, too many miles, close to too many miles, you just want to get out because of a high payment, bring it in. We'll get you out of your lease and get you into something more exciting.
Stop and see Matt and the gang at Graph of Okemos. They're making friends.
So, it's been a while since you've had your jewelry cleaned and inspected, right? Where will you go and who will you trust with your most valuable and treasured heirlooms? At Meadowar Jewelers' 4 locations in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage, jewelry isn't just our job, it's our passion. Each and every piece entrusted in our care is thoroughly inspected by our trained staff against damage or normal wear. And we offer you, our customer, the highest level of quality on repairs and custom designs. Whether it's worn out prongs, channels, or shanks, it's all handled with incredible care. Meadowar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage want to help you preserve your memories and offer you options on creating new ones. Come in today for the cleaning and inspection of your jewelry. We continue to work hard every day to earn your confidence and trust.
Dean Transportation is looking for compassionate people to join our team of school bus drivers and attendants. Visit deanjobs.com to see all openings. Dean Transportation provides paid training to obtain a commercial driver's license, increased starting pay, comprehensive benefits, and flexible schedules with no weekend shifts. No experience needed. Apply today at deanjobs.com and train for back to school season. That's DEAN jobs.com.
Jeremy, I gotta ask, how do you always know where to go on the weekends?
Easy. One North. It's basically my cheat code.
What's going on there?
Live music every Friday and Saturday night, DJ trivia during the week. There's always something happening, Jack.
So I don't have to keep texting you for plans?
Nope. Just follow all 3 One North locations on social media. Lineups, times, everything's right there.
That might actually simplify my life.
That's the goal. When you're looking for something to do, One North's the move.
All right. See you there this weekend.
Are you passionate about college sports? Foster Swift Sports Talk is your go-to podcast dedicated to addressing the hottest topics in college athletics, including recruiting practices, NIL, the trade portal, collectives, and revenue generation.
Join us as we bring you insights from student athletes, college head coaches, administrators, and other industry leaders as they share their experiences in this rapidly changing arena.
Our mission is to share information and help educate student athletes, parents, coaches, and other stakeholders with the knowledge, resources, and strategies they need to make informed decisions and maximize each college athlete's potential for long-term success.
Check out our latest episode where we're joined by Stephen Bianco to discuss his work at 42U and working with universities around the country.
Like and subscribe to our YouTube and Facebook pages to watch all of our episodes, or you can give us a listen on any of your favorite podcasting platforms by simply searching Foster Swift Sports Talk. Until next time, I'm your host, Dave Russell.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination. Breathe in the glacial carved canvas of northern Michigan's finest golf courses and have your breath taken away by scenic vistas from tee to green. The perfect place to perfect your game in more ways than one. The waves, woods, and wonder of Bel Air. Escape every day. Discover the magic of 90 holes at one resort. Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
Welcome back. It is The Drive with Jack, Spotlight Radio Network. Jack Ebling here with my producer, Boston Rob. Rob, very happy to welcome in our next guest. Distinguished service at WXYZ in Detroit for many years, and is a 3-time Michigan Sportscaster of the Year. That doesn't happen by accident. Want to welcome in Brad Galli, now the host of, appropriately, The Brad Galli Show on YouTube and Facebook. Brad, how are you?
Great, Jack. Thanks for having me on, man. The Drive with Jack was taken, so I went with The Brad Galli Show.
Well, when I talked to you at the Pat Fitzgerald introduction, I got a hint that this might be coming, and I was excited about it for you.
You got more than a hint, my friend. I leaned on you a little bit there, quite a bit. And we stayed in touch, and I watched what you did and everything you've built there and covering Michigan State athletics and beyond. And so I said, how'd you do it? And you gave me a bunch of personal advice, professional advice. So this is my public way of saying what I've texted you and told you over the phone a bunch. Thank you.
Well, if anyone can do this and do it well, you are the guy. Your background, your work ethic, the perseverance we have seen, and you're off to a fantastic start with the segments
Thanks,
I have seen. How long were you planning this initial guest list?
Quite a while. I think the timing of everything was no accident. Chad Britton, who was with me at Channel 7, has started his own videography company, and we partnered up on this. We put together this plan for quite a while. We started with Barry Sanders and Jahmyr Gibbs, and we knew they were both going to be at the Detroit Sports Spectacular. And Barry and his agent, J.B. Bernstein, have been really good to me over the years, which is crazy to say, man, because it's Barry freaking Sanders. But he has been, and he's amazing. So just to see the two of them sit down together, Jack, you know what it's like when you get two icons of sport like that. It's someone, you know, with all due respect to what we do, I didn't need to be there. Like, just let them talk right in front of the camera and let Lions fans do that. And so that's what we tried to show with one of our first 3 episodes. Dusty May welcomed us into Chrysler to talk about the national championship and the hunt for a repeat. And then we had Lou Whitaker and Alan Trammell sitting down together, Tigers legends. And again, like this, the timing of everything was no accident. I had some events set up, and we knew that the Detroit Sports Spectacular in Novi here, the 3rd year, was unfolding the last week in May. We thought it'd be a good time to launch, a quiet time. So here we are. We're off and running.
Did you get that segment with Trammell and Whitaker to some Hall of Fame voters?
I hope so. I really hope so. And I know Lou can't get on any sort of committee until 2028, which means he can't get in until 2029. But what a positive, optimistic human being. I told him, I go, Lou, you look great. He goes, thanks, I work on it. And he just smirked at me. Like, he knows he looks good. He knows he's still got it. And I think he's got optimism. He'll get in.
Well, I have a favorite Barry Sanders story. I don't know if I've ever told you this. This is even better than Larry Leach following him into the bathroom, trying to get a quote. He was at a Michigan State game, and we would see him a lot with Nick being part of the team, right? His son. So we're walking out after the game, and I'd just been down to a Monday night game, I think, and I had seen Jahmyr tear up a team and so fast. And I said to Barry, you know, as great as you were, you didn't have the top-end sprint speed that Jahmyr Gibbs does. What would you have been like if you had run that fast? And he stopped for a minute, Brad, and he said, I'd have been pretty good.
No, man.
That's the modesty of Barry Sanders, and he's right.
Yeah, he had it going on. I got to tell you, too, I bumped into Kirk Gibson last week at that same show, and his son, and he's, you know, we had talked about trying to do something here at his Center for Parkinson's and everything he's doing. So we're going to do a big showcase on that coming up and his efforts and just how amazing he is. But he and his son said to me, you know, I hope this new venture for you means more Michigan State coverage. And I said, it absolutely does. And so I saw Tom Izzo and Greg Kelser last week. And I am thrilled that I will be up in East Lansing a heck of a lot more, with a lot more flexibility to get there on our own time to cover those teams that deserve the coverage, just to be around all of it, right? The Red Wings, Pistons, Tigers, Lions, Michigan State, all the colleges, high school athletics. I'm talking to you right now from Windgate in Rochester Hills because of Mark Wahlberg's celebrity charity golf outings here. We sat down with comedian and actor Kevin James today. So that's going to be our next big interview that we're dropping. He was fantastic with us.
Fantastic. You know, Rob, I think that Michigan State coaches and athletes are going to be excited. Just the fact that Brad Galli's bringing the show here. Should be some sort of special gala that you can do. Gala and galley, not separated by that many letters. We could do that. When you started the first shows, were you a little nervous, apprehensive? Obviously, you've been on the air so much and done it so well, but doing this show, what was it like the first day?
Man, good question. I think, Jack, just the bottom line, growing up in this town, in this great sports town, it's just kind of getting back to basics. I got to do so much of this at Channel 7, so it's getting right back at it. I didn't try to overwhelm myself. It's for the fans. It's for that 13-year-old version of me that's sitting at home that can't get enough of it on YouTube. They can't get enough of it on Instagram, on TikTok, on X, on Facebook. Like, can't get enough of it everywhere. And so just trying to feed the appetite of the starving Detroit and across the state of Michigan and beyond sports fans. It sounds like a canned answer, but that's been the thesis statement that's been driving this. And so I think going into these interviews and everything, that was at the core of it, right? Just put the hat of the 13-year-old fan on, and then every other fan in between, and just remember that's why we're doing this, and that's why you've been doing this and been so successful at it, because at the core, it's for the people that love these teams the most. Yeah. Did you have a hero growing up other than, say, a dad, but a sports hero, someone that you wanted to be? Steve Yzerman, growing up in the 90s, Steve Yzerman was that guy for me for hockey, for sure. And then I watched Michigan win the championship in 97. Thought the world of Charles Woodson. Watched Michigan State win the championship in 2000. In my Easter basket, I got a Michigan State championship hat, so I thought Mateen Cleaves was super cool, too. But I also thought Mo P had a little bit more swag, no offense to Mateen. I thought they were both pretty cool. So across the board, I mean, grew up in a tough time for baseball in this town, but it was definitely the Red Wings in that group, and Sergei Fedorov and Brendan Shanahan and Nicholas Lidstrom. Those Red Wings were pretty impactful in my sports upbringing up. You wanted to be Steve Yzerman, the captain, not Steve Yzerman, the general manager, right? No comment. He'll be great. They're going to turn this thing around. They have to. They have to. I'm swimming in optimism at some point here. Brad, somewhere along the line here, you just, years follow and you don't really keep track of them, and then suddenly someone says, well, you're closing in on 50 or 50,000 interviews or something, and you always get the question of who's your dream interview, or if you had a last show, who would you want? And I used to say I would love to have Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods sitting across from me here. Do you have any guest, or, I mean, we're talking about 30 years down the road, but is there anyone who you haven't interviewed that you would love to have on the Brad Galley Show? Yeah, soon. Let's go soon. I won't do the last interview one because I can't think that grand right now as I'm walking it. Yeah. I'll go soon. Jason Sudeikis would be a blast. That's the first name that comes to mind. Yeah. Jason Sudeikis talking about Ted Lasso would be a blast. And I say that also knowing that they have a big press junket coming up with the new launch of the new season. And so Jason Sudeikis talking Ted Lasso on Apple TV coming this fall. Is that a good enough plug? Do you think if his people can hear that, would they bring me on? I think it's going to happen. I'd be surprised if it doesn't. The positivity. Yeah, the positivity of that show, man, at a time when we all needed it and COVID, what it grew into, and put a big spotlight on mental health and how we can all help each other. I have adored that show, his job with it. And then the final season that we thought was the final season, season 3, where it could have been the Jason Sudeikis show, he spread the light on a bunch of different cast members and their stories and built out this amazing story of a bunch of different people. So I just think he's a selfless leader. Seems like a really cool dude, and he's freaking hilarious. So I'd love to talk with him soon. Brad, one of the things that I've always admired about you and your style, and I think it's made you very popular, is that you are positive for the most part. No one's ever accused you of being soft. But they have. Just to be clear, they definitely have. Well, they don't know what they're talking about. You praise when you can and you rip when you must. And more often than not, you understand that fans want to enjoy what they're watching. There are a few who enjoy misery. But for the most part, they want their teams to win. They want to be part of a successful endeavor. I want to talk about the Detroit Tigers. For May, 4-21 finish. And now here they are, 5-1 in June. This is as simple as tearing the page off the calendar. Yeah, right. I you know what? To answer your question with the point you were making about me, which I really appreciate. Yeah. I could certainly go at this new launch and start going at let's pick apart the roster construction. Let's pick apart the fact that these batters have taken some steps back. We decided instead to make an attempt to sit down with Kevin McGonigal, and we made that ask about a week and a half ago, and that's going to happen. So I'm looking at like the biggest bright spot that we've seen for the Tigers in quite some time coming out of a position player in the minors, and we have a sit-down plan with him coming off of his game-winning hit, walk-off game-winning hit on Sunday. So we're going to go with a positive there. I think, Jack, we're seeing how important it is to have Gleyber Torres, Kerry Carpenter back in the lineup. I think the bright skies ahead, seeing Tarek Skubal back on that mound, whatever version of Justin Verlander is coming back soon, I think is a big positive. And then just health overall. It's an easy crutch for people to use. But I think for this team, if you looked at that lineup of what they were running out and trotting out there in May to what they're about to have in June, the excuse might be warranted in this case. And unfortunately, the losses piled up. But if they can bounce back, they're going to have to do it consistently for 3.5 months. But if they can do it, it's not outlandish with that division right now. I think that's a reason for Tigers fans to think they might be able to pull it off. That division's not very loaded.
Brad, when you talk about a sit-down with Kevin McGonigal, and I wouldn't expect you to be wearing these, but wouldn't it be wild if at the end of the interview, talk about making someone's world, that little girl with the Magana goggles?
Oh, my gosh. That was terrific. Again, if anybody didn't see it, right? Like holding up the plastic cups with the Magana goggles on Sunday, and then he hits the home run and the whole deal. I know the Tigers are working on something there with young Cece. I know they interviewed her in the game. Post-game, he gave her a big shout-out. I'm sure they're cooking up something better than anything you or I could draw up. But but that's a movement. Yeah. That's something cool. That's something to grab onto, and that's just so pure. It was so awesome. I show my kids that. My son's 8, my daughter's 7, and we watched that, and that grabbed their attention. What a young superstar can do for a franchise, knows no bounds.
Brad, when you think about what's happening this week and the Vegas Golden Knights shocking everyone, they did win 4 fewer games than the Red Wings in the regular season. And you see the New York Knicks, people already lined up. They're not lined up around Madison Square Garden because of security tonight, but they've already got their plans for a championship parade to end all parades. When there's another parade in the Motor City, what color will the fans be wearing?
Well, there'll be a few coming up here because I think the Pistons have positioned themselves really well. Yeah. And I think they're going to be really smart with some moves this offseason. So if that one doesn't happen right away, it's going to happen in the near future. I think it's the Honolulu Blue and Silver Parade, and I think it happens pretty soon here.
There you go.
I think the outlook for the Lions this year, I know their defense, especially on the back end, is pretty banged up. But being at OTAs, and that's where we kind of started our coverage, that's where we started our coverage with this new launch, just to be back around that team.
Yeah.
There's a lot of positive momentum on the offensive side of the ball in May, now into June. And, Jack, I know everybody says that. They've dismissed it, but you could read through the tea leaves, and we did last week, talking about new offensive coordinator Drew Petzing. Everybody there is impressed with how put together he is, how much they know about the offense already. The simple routes that Jahmyr Gibbs said he already knows, things that he wasn't picking up until late in the summer into camp last year. Gibbs is a man of few words, but the things he was laughing about of saying just how much time Petzing has put already into helping him understand the little things. I think the offense will be humming and can almost work to cover up some of the blemishes that will be there because of injuries on the back end on defense. And I think up front on defense, they're better than before. So you asked me who's going to have the better parade, and then I give you a 10-minute answer on the outlook of the Lions. But I think this is the thesis statement that I have for the Lions.
Yeah.
Their young core of 6 to 8 superstars, I'd say 28 to 29 teams in the league would die for. What they have there is so impressive. And I know everybody wanted to have a huge free agency and a couple big trades. And listen, I love a good trade too. But that core that they have there of 6 to 8 players who are in the top 5 to 10% of their positions, most teams would die for. And I think that's something they can continue to build on. And one of these years, I think it's going to turn into something pretty special.
With a 4th place schedule, and they have to have better luck with injuries. They couldn't have any worse luck, Brad. So
you had to say it. Dang it.
So if those things come together, who knows? You think about where they were 2 years ago and even 3 years ago. Never forget the feeling being out there in Santa Clara, and at halftime I went back to get a beverage, and I saw everybody on their phones trying to make reservations and get rental cars for the Super Bowl. So I think that this team was definitely close twice, and this can happen again. When you talk about the Pistons, Brad, and you think about watching the NBA Finals, knowing that they beat the Knicks 3 times by more than 80 points combined, and probably should have beat them last year. I think if Isaiah Stewart had been healthy, Pistons would have won that series. What do you think's going through their head as they watch this series?
Well, I think the competitors in them probably look at the path that the Knicks had to get to the finals, and they look and they laugh and say, the Hawks, the Sixers, come on, man. And then they would have faced us. There's no chance. But the reality sets in, and they know what their shortcomings were all season. They didn't have outside clutch shooting. Tobias Harris provided it in round 1 against the Magic a bunch, but it was not there consistently enough to win in the playoffs. We saw how much things changed. Jalen Duren is a terrific player, and I think he's still a building block, and Trajan Langdon said as much. But playoff basketball changes. I mean, we watched now what Karl Anthony Towns is doing in the NBA Finals and how much growth he's had. But what Wemby did to Chet Holmgren in the Western Conference Final, like it's a different brand of hoops in the playoffs. And now that these guys have gotten 2 tastes of the postseason, and Trajan Langdon got a really good look at this group and what they're capable of and what their shortcomings are, I think they're going to make good moves in the offseason like a lot of these top contenders have done to put themselves in the upper stratosphere. I'm excited. I think it's going to be an awesome offseason for that team because they're in a great spot. Like the NBA, you can go swing a 3 first-round pick trade for the perfect piece that you need, and that happens more often than not.
Last question for you about what's going on in sports right now, Brad. Curt Cignetti changed the landscape and applied tremendous pressure on his coaching colleagues. Took the program, which was absolute last in terms of winning percentage historically, and here they are, 16-0 last year and national champs. The Vegas Golden Knights have been in existence 9 years. And they start off with the Stanley Cup Finals appearance, and they win 1. Now they could win 2 to do this in 9 years. And then you think of some other teams in the last decade, and you know what I'm talking about. But what have the Knights done here, and how have they done this?
They've gotten really lucky because of that expansion draft. I mean, the way that those rules were set up will forever shape that franchise. It has forever shaped that franchise. The fact that they have a banner, they went to the final. That changed everything for how that team was going to exist. I mean, look what the Seattle Kraken did 5 minutes later, and, they've not advanced in the postseason, and they're still building. I think what they're showing is what I just said about the NBA. It's harder to make trades in hockey, but I think the Golden Knights are kind of proving the doubters wrong. If you want a guy, go get a guy. Trade away the future and keep building. It's risky. It's really risky because you often see, oh, man, what happened in that trade 4 years ago? They traded 4 first-rounders. They traded 2 first-rounders in a prospect, and they all turned into something. But I think you look at the last few Cup winners, and they've kind of bucked the trend here. For a while there with the Blackhawks, and it was all homegrown talent that took about, I don't know, with the Capitals and Alex Ovechkin finally winning, the Blues and Tarasenko finally winning. It took 10 to 12, sometimes 15 years to build a core, and it's exhausting. It's really hard. But the last few champs, between the Panthers the last 2 years, Vegas 3 years ago, and now it looks like with Vegas ahead, you got to swing and make trades. The Panthers went out and got Matthew Tkachuk a couple years ago, and he was the missing piece, almost like Brendan Shanahan was for the Wings in '97. The Golden Knights went out and got Jack Eichel the year they ultimately went on and won it. He was so key in that postseason run, and they've only added since. So I think you got to get gutsy in hockey and swing some trades, and I would have loved to have seen how Quinn Hughes could have worked in this team's back end for the Red Wings if that trade could have happened. And if you go get Quinn Hughes throughout the season, are we talking this offseason, Jack, about a team that just won a playoff series, lost, and maybe who they're going to add this offseason rather than, their superstar center who's about to depart? I think we would be. That's a big if, and they would have to give up a lot. But I think what the Golden Knights are showing us is, number one, they got lucky because of the expansion draft rules. But number two, they haven't been nervous to make moves since.
It's the Brad Galley Show. It is a great watch and pretty easy to find. YouTube, Facebook. Any other tips for people who haven't come across it yet?
Galli is how you spell my last name.
Yeah.
And I always like how Peter Jennings used to say, like, watch us if you'd like. Or I forget how he turned the phrase. I'm not going to ask people to subscribe, but if you'd be so kind to want to jump in and subscribe, we'd greatly appreciate it, because we're going to have great sports content coming at you. How's that put?
Excellent. Watch it, and you will like it. Let me say that. Brad, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you soon, and we'll see you up here.
All right. Good stuff, Jack. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Brad Galli, The Brad Galli Show. We'll be right back on A Drive with Jack.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination. Breathe in the glacial carved canvas of northern Michigan's finest golf courses and have your breath taken away by scenic vistas from tee to green. The perfect place to perfect your game in more ways than one. The waves, woods, and wonder of Bel Air. Escape every day. Discover the magic of 90 holes at one resort. Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
Dean Transportation is looking for compassionate people to join our team of school bus drivers and attendants. Visit deanjobs.com to see all openings. Dean Transportation provides paid training to obtain a commercial driver's license, increased starting pay, comprehensive benefits, and flexible schedules with no weekend shifts. No experience needed. Apply today at deanjobs.com and train for back to school season. That's DEAN jobs.com.
Jeremy, it's finally patio season.
About time. And not just any patio, Amy. One North Patios.
We're talking sunshine, cold drinks, and that perfect I should have left work early vibe.
Lansing, East Lansing, Jackson, each one has got its own patio personality.
Whether it's brunch in the sun, happy hour with friends, or late night cocktail under the lights.
It just hits different outside.
Great food, craft drinks, and plenty of space to kick back.
So grab your crew and claim your spot.
One North Kitchen and Bar, your table's waiting. Outside.
Let's go.
So, it's been a while since you've had your jewelry cleaned and inspected, right? Where will you go and who will you trust with your most valuable and treasured heirlooms? At Meadowar Jewelers' 4 locations in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage, jewelry isn't just our job, it's our passion. Each and every piece entrusted in our care is thoroughly inspected by our trained staff against damage or normal wear. And we offer you, our customer, the highest level of quality on repairs and custom designs. Whether it's worn out prongs, channels, or shanks, it's all handled with incredible care. Meadowar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage want to help you preserve your memories and offer you options on creating new ones. Come in today for the cleaning and inspection of your jewelry. We continue to work hard every day to earn your confidence and trust.
Jack Ebling here with my good friend Matt Sloan at Graph of Okemos. Spring is here, and so is good news for lease customers.
You got that right, Jack. Pretty exciting news, both at Nissan and Chevy. We have a lease pull ahead starting right now. So if you're bored with your lease, too many miles, close to too many miles, you just want to get out because of a high payment, bring it in. We'll get you out of your lease and get you into something more exciting.
Stop and see Matt and the gang at Graph of Okemos. They're making friends.
Welcome back. It is A Drive with Jack, Spotlight Radio Network. Jack Ebling here with my producer, Boston Rob. Rob, I think we're going to do something we have never done before on the show, which began in its current incarnation back in 2013. We're going to do a Brad to Brad handoff. We're going from Brad Galli to Brad Fast, outstanding defenseman for Michigan State, and assistant coach now with the Spartans. Worn a lot of hats along the way. And a guy I ran into the other night at one of my favorite stops, Tasty Twist, on Grand River. Brad, I hope I'm not giving away any secrets there that you weren't hiding out, right?
Not hiding out. Man, don't want too many people to know about that. I got to try and stay in a little bit of shape in the off season. No, but Tasty Twist is a good spot for us all the time. My family. Yep.
Coaches have to look a little different than media members. That's much to your credit. And I said the only bad part about running into you Saturday night was that your better half wasn't there. Lindsay's one of my all-time favorite people, and I did a little survey of some hockey media, and she's as popular as anyone who has ever been in Munn Ice Arena.
I believe that. I couldn't convince her to join me. I tried to, but she has more discipline than I do in the summer. That's for sure.
Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the Stanley Cup playoffs and the Stanley Cup final. We were talking about that game, which was just getting started while we were there, and next thing you know, Vegas has got a 4-0 lead. I think that shocked a lot of people. Freddie Anderson is on the bench. Rod Brindamore makes a goalie change. And after the Jack Eichel show, you won, or the Marner show, right? It was a Mitch Marner show. That's what it was.
Yep.
Yeah, Mitch Marner had the 3 goals and could have had a 4th on a penalty shot. But when Marner got stopped on that, next thing you know, you got 3 goals in less than 40 seconds, and we're headed to overtime, and then we're headed to double overtime. Did you make it to the end of that game?
I sure did. I was nodding off as they scored that last goal. So had it gone another couple minutes, I was for sure going to be out. But man, what an exciting game! It wasn't looking too good for Carolina in the middle part of that game, that's for sure. But my goodness, I don't think anybody predicted that game would see overtime with how good Vegas was, how good they were playing, and how much they were controlling the play.
Right.
Almost up until just a few minutes before Carolina scored their first goal, and then had bang bang right after that with their second and third. But that sure made for some exciting hockey.
Brad, why is it that, especially it seems in playoff games, we see so many great plays, high-end skill plays, and then you get into overtime or beyond, and it's some crazy goal, something that just kind of goes in that you didn't see coming. Why is that?
I don't know. Isn't that something? I was thinking the same thing watching that, because it's almost every time a defenseman shoots from the point in overtime that you think, oh, man, this could be the one. There's nothing fancy about it, but I do think so many guys are going to the net. That's where you're going to score those goals, and people know at that time of the game, I'm sure they're talking about an intermission. Just get it on net, get to the net.
Yes.
And wouldn't you know, there's nothing, it's almost, on one side it's really lucky, that last goal, and the other side really unlucky, the way it went in, where it banked off the end wall, off the goalie skating in, but yeah, you're right. It doesn't seem to end with anything fancy too often. Just something that's thrown on net.
I'm glad you say that, because it reminds me of a disagreement, almost an argument I had with the legendary Ron Mason. And, he's forgotten more hockey than I knew, but I was always of the belief that if you did at least throw the puck on the net, lots of things can happen. If you pass it around 6 times, then maybe you get a great shot, but it seems like a lot of times you let perfect be the enemy of good. So I was complaining to him one time about his power play. And I said, Ron, could you just get a few more shots on goal? Especially, there's so many bodies, traffic out front, deflections, a million things can happen. And he said, well, you don't know anything about the game. And I said, well, yeah, that's probably true, but I'm looking at the evidence I see. So we're kind of going back and forth, and we're an establishment, and we're getting loud about this, right? And he said, have you ever heard of a block shot? I said, yeah. And I said, I've also heard of shots that go off defensemen and go into the net. So this is escalating a little bit, right? And you know Ron better than most people. And, he doesn't like to be told he's wrong on this stuff. Nope. So this little running thing went on for about 3 years. About shooting or not shooting. And, I saw Montreal. Hey, they won a game and, they might have had less than a dozen shots. But I think more often than not, you do that and your chances aren't good. You can do it, but I like the idea of putting the puck on the net. So anyway,
I'm with you too. I think, the recipe that Montreal had earlier these playoffs, that's not a real good recipe to continue to win games. You're not feeling very good about it. On the other hand, it's just that one. It doesn't have to be fancy, like we just said. Yeah. It's just that one shot. The right one gives you a chance. So
we were talking briefly about Michigan State hockey moving forward, and even last year, it wasn't that long ago, we would go to Munn and we would pick up the line chart, and they always have the NHL logos of teams that had drafted, and there were a lot more on the opposition line charts than there were on Michigan State's. Now, you got so many guys drafted and so many first rounders. This is like looking ahead into the National Hockey League, isn't it?
Yeah, we've been. It's been quite the turnaround here as far as of players of that caliber putting or signing up for this, and I think it's been, and one attracts another, and then they say about a crowd. And I think that's what we have going on right now. You get really good players to play with in the games.
Yeah.
And our practices are so intense, and you're going against these same guys, these other draft picks, these other good players in practice every day, which is equally as important. You're with them every day. I know if you're a forward on our team last year and you're looking up in practice, you've got 4 or 5 6'4" defensemen with long sticks,
right?
Long arms, big shoulders. That's going to make you better in itself right there. And then if you do happen to get past them, you're shooting on a really good goalie. So no, it's been quite the change. And I do think that these guys understand, and that's why they're here. Is you want to get better, you play with and against the best.
So much size now for Michigan State, and it wasn't that long ago that your hockey team could have played Big Ten basketball and measured up pretty well. Certainly would have been taller than the basketball coaching staff. But when you think about the size difference, even to when you played, how many 6'5" defensemen and forwards did you run into?
Not very many.
No.
We ran into more on our back end last year.
Yeah,
more than I played with. I mean, but no, and it's not like we're specifically looking to do that. It just so happens that these players that we're getting. I mean, it's always nice to have size, but we also want to make sure that they have the other intangibles too. We want them to fit in right to the way that our team operates. We want to be selfless and compete, and we want to have a high work ethic. So that's first, and then these guys just also happen to be some pretty big guys too. But it's not we're not crossing anybody off the list because they're not 6'4" or 6'5". But we're looking for guys that fit our game plan first and foremost with our team.
Well, how tall was Matt Basgall? It shows that good play comes in a lot of different packages, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he didn't fit that, but he was so hard to play against for different reasons. He's really smart. His stick is fantastic. He's always in the way defensively, and then when he gets the puck, I think he was really feared because of what he could do with it. He could make plays happen. I heard multiple coaches across the country in the Big Ten and beyond saying that, man, when he got that puck, it was like it was getting on net one way or the other. They would game plan to try and block it. Wouldn't work. Yeah.
We know that recruiting is the lifeblood of any college hockey program or any college sports program in general. Now, Michigan State has a terrific reputation for development of players and getting them better and polished and strength and conditioning. And, of course, there's a leadership factor enters into it. But in recruiting, Brad, how much does it help you and Adam Nightingale that you can point to an Isaac Howard, who was a Hobie Baker winner, and you can point to a Porter Martone and the incredible start he has had with the Philadelphia Flyers? I'm thinking if I were a top prospect, I would want a taste of that.
Oh, it definitely, absolutely helps. I mean, it really helps when you can turn the TV on and hear Porter Martone and see him talking about college hockey and specifically about Michigan State and East Lansing, and so that's about as good as it gets right there. He obviously had such a great start, and I thought it was really telling of what he thought of his time here. When almost every interview, he seemed like he was almost going out of his way sometimes to make sure he emphasized how important his year in East Lansing was. So that does help a ton. Yeah. And with him, you got Isaac Howard win the Hobie, you got Trey Augustine winning the Richter, and these fantastic players. That it's really easy to point to them and say this is where they came from. So and the players and the recruits, they're following that intently, obviously.
Brad, I've seen a couple of interviews with Porter Martone, and it's almost as if he was being paid by Michigan State to to represent, but that's not the case. This is just a guy who, in 1 year, fell in love with the place and appreciated the people.
Well, he's such a genuine guy, and he's a pleasure to be around. There's a reason why, and it's not just all skill and talent that he does what he does. He's not the captain of Canada at the World Juniors just because of that. Like he's just a good person who cares, and he does, quite often he's wearing those emotions on his sleeve, and he wants he wants people to know what others have done for him. He's a team first guy.
We know that in terms of goaltenders, what we saw with Ryan Miller, and he's as good a goaltender as ever come from the United States. That had an impact on other goalies over the years finding their way to East Lansing. For Joshua Ravensbergen, how much did it matter that he could see what Trey Augustine had done here?
I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. I would love to say that everybody would know who players from the past are, but it does, and Ryan is the exception. You talk about him and people know, but really the relevancy of what Trey did for our program, because it was so immediate. It had to have played a factor in what in any decision that was made.
Rob, you're the biggest hockey guy at Spotlight. What do you have for Fasty?
Well, Brad, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. I want to go on to the position that you played that you take very seriously, and that's the defense. You talked about the importance of Matt Basgall. Of course, he is moving on now. But, boy, can you just talk about that defensive core coming into next year, how excited you are to see what they're capable of doing, and a young man that is coming in that is looking to be a top 3, top 2, maybe the top draft pick of this year's draft. Can you just talk about Chase Reed and that core as a whole in general and how exciting that is for you?
Yeah, we are really excited right from the goaltender position through the defense and out. I think that we do have we have some good players coming back. Obviously, we had some players leave to fill some holes, but I think it's going to go through Patrick Geary back there. Great leader on the back end. Excited to see what I'm really excited to see what he's such a good kid. See what he can do, not just on the ice, but within that leadership role. He's the guy that those players on the back end look up to a lot. And without glossing over some of the other guys we have returning, I know you asked about Chase Reed. That's a really exciting one on multiple levels. He's just an awesome, fantastic kid. Great family. We're so excited to to have been able to follow his path and see all the hard work and belief in himself that he had to get to where he's at. Because it wasn't too long ago where some people were writing him off, and now, like you said, he's slated to be one of the top picks. I think he handles himself so well. Very modest, talking about team first all the time, which we love to hear.
Mm-hmm.
But I am really excited to when September comes around to get out on the ice and see what he can do. It's pretty evident watching him live or watching him on video, seeing the skill that he has both with the puck and without the puck. He's a smart player, good skater, and who can really, kind of like Matt Basgal, where he gets shots through and can distribute. Somebody I think that people are going to have to be aware of right away.
You talk about Patrick Geary, and just kind of refer back to the disagreement I had with Ron. I remember a play from the blue line near the bench, and he had a backup goalie who's telling him, shoot. And the next thing you know, the puck's in the net, and Michigan State has a Big Ten championship win over Michigan. But to think that he's still there and played an awful lot of hockey with all of the newcomers you have in, you have a pretty good veteran core coming back too.
We do. And that was exactly what you were talking about, putting a puck on net.
Yeah.
I think if I remember, the ceiling almost blew right off of Munn that night, but so loud in there, and no, it's going to be so nice to have that presence back there, and I know we're very lucky to have him return for another year. That's for sure. With what he's done so far here at Michigan State, that was not a guarantee he was coming back by any means. That's for sure. But we're so excited for that to happen.
How have the changes that we have seen in college hockey through the juniors and what athletes can now do made this a better product?
I think that you're seeing the best players are now running through college hockey. I'm really interested in the draft later this month to see how many players have gone through or will end up going through college hockey to get to the pro ranks. It's going to be higher than ever before, meaning that the fans and the product on the ice is as good and better than we've ever seen. So college hockey's in a great spot. We're really lucky and can't wait for fall, get back on the ice and show the fans what it's all about.
And I guess in college hockey or college sports, you can have transfers, and we know what the portal is like. Michigan State has been very effective but judicious in adding players that way. It's a little different from the pros, where players can demand a trade, and they have a no-trade clause or something like that. You don't have to worry about that, right?
No. The transfer portal, it's so unique in sports, but the way that we've used it, we feel pretty comfortable in that. We're not going in and only living through that. Obviously, when there's the right fit for a player to come in, we're going to explore that, and we feel like we've done a nice job with that. People that have been really good fits for the team, for the program, and end up contributing both on and off the ice. But it is very unique in that you got to be careful with it, because you can go in there thinking that the most highly touted names in the portal are instantly going to be a fit, but you got to really do your homework to make sure that they are. And we do have a good thing going in our walls already. We want to keep it that way.
Brad, I get to Munn for a lot of games, but I'm not there many other times. I'm not Neil Koepke. Rob, you are there a lot more, and you actually watch some practices. You've done that before the interview sessions in the morning or around noon. What stands out to you about Michigan State hockey when you watch it? What makes it different?
Boy, first of all, just the history and what Brad and the coaching staff and Coach Nightingale have been able to bring back to the program. And I know it's real special to Brad because being a former player, Brad, as Adam was also, I mean, it's just got to mean that much more to you guys. And I know championships and things like that are a goal, but boy, the player development part of it as a coach, Brad, has really just got to be at the top of the list. And what you guys have been able to do and continue to do, that's got to be, I don't want to say as big as a satisfying, but just as satisfying as winning a championship. Would you agree with that?
Well, everybody wants to raise that banner at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But there's so much that goes into it, and I love the approach that our staff has with that, where we're putting our work in every single day to give our players and our team the best opportunity to win. But it comes with a lot of detail, hard work to not skip any steps, and it's also designed to set them up for their next step in life, whether that's pro hockey or whether that's in the real world. We want to make sure that we're instilling the right habits and thought process. It's not necessarily always about the outcome. We want to make sure we give ourselves the best chance every day to kind of guide ourselves in the right direction to have the positive outcome, but we want to also just not cheat or skip steps to get there. And I think that's what really has separated us here, is making sure we're doing that.
Rob, for many years, been parking in a different place just recently, but I would park over at the stadium and walk to the rink. And every time I would leave, I would go by the plaque, okay? And they have all the All-America plaques mounted, as you know, on the wall. And I would go by one for Lindsay's husband. And when I would do that, I would always smile, remembering that era of Michigan State hockey. When you think back to that and being up there on that wall where so many young people, impressionable, future hockey players go by and see that, what does that mean to you?
Well, I think what it means is if you look on either side, you see some pretty good players, and I don't think that anybody gets up there alone.
Yeah.
Typically, even if you really get deep into it, you look around, and when there's good teams, and the team is rolling, having success, that's when you see the most of those. So that's what I think, and right now we've got a good thing going. We have more of those individuals getting rewarded at the end of the year because the team is doing well. So I know maybe that doesn't answer exactly, but the way that I see it is, you see those All-Americans, you're like, man, they must have had a good thing going with their team at that time. So I do love seeing that right now with our guys.
All right. Last thing for you, Brad. I want to play a little word game, okay? 4 questions, 4 people. I want you to give me one word that describes them. If you could only try to tell someone about them in one word, let's start with Adam Nightingale.
Genuine.
I like it. I can see that. Yeah, it is what you get, right? Yep, exactly. He doesn't blow smoke and tell you that make a lot of promises. You know that he's shooting straight. All right. What about Jared DeMichael?
He is a dog on a bone. That's more than one word, but we'll put some hyphens in there.
Yeah, we'll make it a compound adjective. Yeah, I like it. Dog on a bone. Yeah. That might even be a nickname. We can start calling him Dog on a Bone. I like that. All right, what about Mike Towns?
I think he's super intelligent. He's a really intelligent coach.
You have one word?
Yeah, intelligent. Right.
Intelligent. Intelligent. Okay, and when we actually got super intelligent, we'll hyphenate that too. All right, the last one, and this one might be the toughest, but I know how much he meant to everyone in Munn. I know how much he meant to the season you just had. You have one word for Dan Sturgis.
Glue.
Glue. Yeah.
Glue. he was the guy that held us all together. Yeah, we miss him a lot. It's strange not having that glue there every day. But at the same time, he's still the one that binds us.
Brad, we know that hockey recruiting never ends. It won't be long, and there'll be a lot of activity over at Munn. Enjoy the rest of the Stanley Cup Final, and the next time I see you and hopefully Lindsay over at Tasty Twist, the first cone's on me.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Brad Fast, Michigan State assistant hockey coach. All right, when we get back, we're going to go to Louisville, and no, we're not going to talk with Haley Schoengart. We're saving that. Although with all the hockey conversation, had she heard this, she would have probably just cut in to the show. We're going to talk with her colleague, Eric Crawford, and they do a ton of work together in Louisville. They were on the tour with Indiana, Rob, at the 4 games, championship games, bowl games, national championship game. But we're going to talk with Eric about basketball in the Commonwealth, what Louisville did with the money it's spending, what Kentucky finally able to get some players to take the Wildcats' money. It was like it was infected for a while. And also about the Triple Crown, and he had some very interesting observations on Golden Tempo and Cherie DeVoe after the win in the Belmont Stakes. People said, I don't know how that horse ever won the Derby. The answer is the same way that it won the Preakness, coming from last to first. Be right back on The Drive with Jack.
Dean Transportation is looking for compassionate people to join our team of school bus drivers and attendants. Visit deanjobs.com to see all openings. Dean Transportation provides paid training to obtain a commercial driver's license, increased starting pay, comprehensive benefits, and flexible schedules with no weekend shifts. No experience needed. Apply today at deanjobs.com and train for back-to-school season. That's DEAN jobs.com.
Jeremy, what's the move when the kids say they're bored?
Easy. Family fun night every Tuesday at 1 North.
Free kids meal with every entree, so dinner is handled.
And we're not just talking crayons and paper menus.
Nope. We've got Battleship, Uno, all the table game classics.
Plus, all the big stuff, Amy. Giant Yahtzee, Connect 4. It's basically game night leveled up.
Kids stay entertained. Parents actually get to relax. It's a win-win.
Great food, family vibes, and a little friendly competition.
Family fun night at 1 North Kitchen and Bar.
Come hungry and ready to play.
Jack Ebling here with my good friend Matt Sloan at Graph of Okemos. Spring is here, and so is good news for lease customers.
You got that right, Jack. Pretty exciting news, both at Nissan and Chevy. We have a lease pull ahead starting right now. So if you're bored with your lease, too many miles, close to too many miles, you just want to get out because of a high payment, bring it in. We'll get you out of your lease and get you into something more exciting.
Stop and see Matt and the gang at Graph of Okemos. They're making friends.
So, it's been a while since you've had your jewelry cleaned and inspected, right? Where will you go and who will you trust with your most valuable and treasured heirlooms? At Meadowar Jewelers' 4 locations in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage, jewelry isn't just our job, it's our passion. Each and every piece entrusted in our care is thoroughly inspected by our trained staff against damage or normal wear. And we offer you, our customer, the highest level of quality on repairs and custom designs. Whether it's worn out prongs, channels, or shanks, it's all handled with incredible care. Meadowar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, and Portage want to help you preserve your memories and offer you options on creating new ones. Come in today for the cleaning and inspection of your jewelry. We continue to work hard every day to earn your confidence and trust.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination. Breathe in the glacial carved canvas of northern Michigan's finest golf courses and have your breath taken away by scenic vistas from tee to green. The perfect place to perfect your game in more ways than one. The waves, woods, and wonder of Bel Air. Escape every day. Discover the magic of 90 holes at one resort. Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
Welcome back. It is Drive with Jack, Spotlight Radio Network. Jack Ebling here with my producer, Boston Rob. Want to go right back to our guest line and welcome in Eric Crawford, sports journalist, was a terrific writer, still is, but from the newspaper days in Louisville, Courier Journal, and now WDRB, where he does a ton of work with Haley Schoengart, Lansing's gift back to Louisville. Eric, how are you?
I'm good, Jack. Doing well.
Last time I saw you, we were talking a lot of basketball, and we'll do that again, but I want to talk about the Triple Crown of thoroughbred racing and Golden Tempo, and tell me you're the first one who knew how good Golden Tempo was.
I wish I were. I'd have a lot more money right now. I did. About all I can say is that it's a fool's errand, but I try and write like a story. Here's how the race will be run.
Yeah.
Story before the Kentucky Derby.
Right.
And all I can say is I did say, if you're looking for one, a long shot that I think will be running at the end, Golden Tempo was one of a couple I threw in there.
Yeah.
But I did not have the foresight to bet on Golden Tempo, and I can't say I had a lot of feeling about Golden Tempo going into the race. In fact, we were debating. I go out the morning of the Derby and try and talk to every trainer I can find out there.
Right.
And Cherie DeVoe, the trainer for Golden Tempo, the first woman to win the Kentucky Derby, was not there yet. She was coming from Lexington, and I'm like, I'm not wait around. So I didn't wait around to get that interview, and I wish I had. Wish I'd stayed another hour, but that's just how it goes.
When we talk about Golden Tempo and maybe a different approach, there are horses that run off the pace and there are closers. But how often have you seen a horse that was 19th in the Derby, that late in the race, and that far behind make up that much ground?
No, it was a good move. And this horse is even his trainer will tell you he's lazy. He doesn't train very well. Doesn't like attend to task.
Yeah.
I think, they had the Derby draw, and she showed a picture of him in his stall asleep, laying in the hay. So, that was kind of the joke about this horse coming in. But, to run that way in the Derby and to be able to circle the field as he did, if you look at the photos, just how wide he ran, how much longer he had to run to finish that race than a lot of, of the horses he beat, that's pretty impressive, too.
Right.
So that was a very unusual race. And the thing was, you can't say that, like, it was such a wicked pace on the front that all the speed broke down and he just picked off a bunch of dead leg horses. He beat some good horses that were still running. So, and then he legitimized it in the Belmont Stakes.
A 21-1 shot at Churchill Downs, and then goes to Saratoga, and not the favorite, 6-1, but they forgot to tell Golden Tempo that.
Yeah, he was the fourth betting choice at post time in a 9-horse field. So, there were three others that the public had bet down more, and they did make some changes in him between the Derby and that race. They put blinkers on him, which is, supposed to make a horse more focused, and I think it definitely worked in his case.
Mm-hmm.
He did not drop so far back in this race as he did in the Derby. He was up a little closer and got a little more, advantageous position. But, think about the Belmont. They run it at 1.25 miles at Saratoga. It's usually 1.5 miles.
Yeah.
If that race had been 1.5 miles, he would have run off and, won this by a good margin, by, 6 lengths or something. So he had a great race and, affirmed everything that he showed in the Derby. And it's a good story. She did a good job with this horse, and she's gotten a lot of notoriety for being the first woman now to train 2 Triple Crown winners, 2 Triple Crown races, and much deserved because she did some nice things.
Eric, there's a term, vertical integration, and you hear it a lot now in college sports, that you have to have president, director of athletics, and the head coach. Everyone has to be moving in the same direction. But I don't know any sport where that kind of teamwork is more important. We always say life is a team sport. But in thoroughbred racing, if the owner, the trainer, the jockey, and yes, the horse are not of the same mind here, you're not going to win many races.
No. And, we see it happens all the time where, a trainer will not like the ride the jockey gives the horse and change.
Yeah.
Brad Cox did that before the Belmont this year with his rider for Commandment. Jose Ortiz was the rider on this one, and she doesn't really – she said her instructions to him before the race were just good luck. She said he's out there riding. He knows the way he runs. And it's interesting that most jockeys don't get on a horse until they go to the starting gate. They don't exercise them in the morning. Jose is not the exercise rider for this horse, but he does ride the horse during his timed workouts. So he has a really good feel for this horse, for how much animal he's got at what point in the race. And I think that makes a difference. I think that's a little bit of an added bonus for the jockeys that are willing to do that and able to do that. And Jose does for all of Golden Tempo's time works. He flew into wherever he was, Keeneland or Churchill Downs or wherever, and did that work. And sometimes flew in and flew right back out and ran races, at another track later in the day. But, yes, and of course these owners are they're old horse people, and they really let the trainer do her job and are pretty good about letting the people who are working with the horses kind of let the horse dictate what his next move is.
So you say that is not the norm for the jockeys to be riding on these timed workouts. What percent of the jockeys would do that? Is it a slim minority or just maybe less than you think?
I would think 10% or less.
Wow.
I mean, and look, it's different with these top level horses. Now, Mike Smith is a legend in the game. Over 50 and still doing this, still riding. He came in to work one of Bob Baffert's Derby horses this year, so they will do it in the Derby. You might see of the 20-horse field, you might see 3 or 4 do it. So, but in general in horse racing, that's not something that's normally done.
What stands out to you about Jose Ortiz? So much attention had been focused on his younger brother, right, Herod Ortiz. And,
yeah.
And then, younger brother is looking to his left, and older brother goes flying by him on the right in the Derby. But what is it about Jose Ortiz that's allowed him to be such a good fit for this horse?
Well, in the 2 big races that he's won, his strategy was quite simply to get on Renegade and to stay with him.
Yeah.
Renegade he's the highest rated 3-year-old. He's the horse that Ortiz felt like he had to beat. Just so happened his brother was riding him. And and both races, he followed Renegade and made his move when Renegade made his move, and that put him in the perfect spot. And he just had more horse at the end. And so I thought that was particularly poignant, that he's followed his brother and was able to get by him in the Derby. And then, of course, it was a different horse that was second in the Belmont, but Renegade was in the mix back there in third. So, but he's a great rider. Both those guys are fantastic riders. They have a great story. They grew up to be riders. Their grandfather thought they would be great. Their dad, they would watch the races, pretending to race on pillows in the bed while they watched them on television.
Right.
They came from a great riding tradition, and most of the great riders right now are not American.
Yeah.
They come from Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, South America. So just natural right now. Guys that are in, they both are doing well in the sport and won a ton of money and a ton of races.
There aren't a lot of Jerry Baileys or jockeys from the United States who follow that, and that's their dream, right? Unless maybe they're smaller or too small to play a lot of other sports.
Very many. You still get a lot of good jockeys out of Louisiana. When those bush tracks in Louisiana, they come up riding, and there are a good many Louisiana bred, if you want to call them that, riders that are still pretty good. And from California you get some, and it's a good many women that you don't see them necessarily in the Derby all the time, but there's women that are getting more successful in the sport. So and of course at the beginning of the game in the early turn of the century and before, when the Derby first started, it was all black riders. They were all African Americans, and they were pretty much run out of the sport way back, and have never. That just shows you have never really come back in any kind of meaningful way. So that's also that was a part of the sport.
Eric, someone said to me after the Belmont, well, yeah, but they had the best horse clearly, and so Ortiz just had to go for a ride. I said, you didn't watch the race very closely, because if you watch it from the back, and the moves in both of these Triple Crown races, and fit through some very tight windows, and one mistake, and you run into the back of another horse, and you're done.
Well, and I mean, even in the Belmont, if you watch the start of the race, Golden Tempo jumped out sideways. It was like he turned right as soon as he came out, and he had to be straightened out and get in, which is fine if it's not the Derby and there's not 20 horses, then he's got time to straighten them out and get in. The Derby, he took a risk. I mean, it was all out. It was just an all-out risk to just circle out wider than anybody. 12, I think somebody said he was 12 wide when he circled to make his move and came running the very middle of the track. At the Belmont, he tucked inside of Renegade, and they brushed really as he passed by on the inside. But it was a tight hole that he got him through, and was able to cut inside in that race. So it was different races, and knowing the horse, knowing how he wants to run, being able to make him go. A lot of these horses just have one run in them, and it's really a question of timing for the jockey as to when it gets made and when you get them, because you're only going to get that burst of speed once. The really good ones, you might get it twice, but with these late runners, once you ask them to run, they're running, and you can't really adjust or go back. And so there is some skill involved in that beyond just riding, 35 miles an hour on an animal, which is considerable.
Well, we're talking with Eric Crawford, WDRB television in Louisville, and also an outstanding columnist. When you think about Cherie DeVoe, Eric, does she have this much adrenaline going through her at all times, or does she take some sort of an energy drink? Watching her watch her horse, and I guess if I had a horse that was going to win the Kentucky Derby, I'd be a little excited too. But she spends more energy than some of the athletes I know.
Yeah, of course, her celebrations have been pretty energetic. I'll tell you, just talking to her now, at times that Haley and I went out there to the barn like a week after he won the Derby, or almost a week or something like that. She was pretty muted because she had just flown back from New York. She's been flying around doing all this media. So she's got a personality. My friend Pat Forty, writes for Sports Illustrated, did a really nice feature on her. She likes, she'll use profanity. She says, I'm not for everybody. She's got a fascinating background where she was a bodybuilder and then got into training and, grew up around horses. But she's a great personality, and I don't know that I would say she's got that much energy all the time, but it's fun to see the passion in it when that, she's got a chance to win these races and wins them. She doesn't hold back, and she really is not I don't think she's really a hold it back type person. She's one to go for it, and she's been fun to watch.
So talking to Haley after the Belmont, and she was excited. She said, that means now I get to cover the Breeders' Cup. How much horse racing do you do in Louisville when it isn't Derby month?
Well, it just depends on what the stories are.
Yeah.
And horse racing is not a general sports anymore, something that the general public in sports follows. But if there's a story that, will capture people, or a horse or a race, then we jump into it. We just happened to be at Churchill Downs this past weekend. The Derby favorite was coming back to run in a race here, and, we kind of just took a chance that he might win, and we might have a story, and we did. It was a decent story. He won the race and did it impressively, and it made for a decent little story. We'll go again in a couple of weeks. Churchill Downs Big Stakes race for older horses is here.
Okay.
And three or four of the best horses in the world will race here for that race. They've upped the purse from $1 million to $2 million. And then it's a long break until Breeders' Cup. And I would not necessarily cover a Breeders' Cup here unless there were a compelling story. Multiple Derby winners, which we may have in this one.
Yeah.
The Derby winner doing well and can cement Horse of the Year type thing. So those should be on the table for the Breeders' Cup this year at Keeneland, and of course it being in the backyard up there. So I would imagine we'd pay attention to it a little more this year.
I suppose it is possible, if you are following the Kentucky Wildcats and they're in Florida and you're getting ready for the Florida Derby or Louisiana Derby, something like that, you could have a fortuitous scheduling with that. But most of your winter is taken up with college basketball.
Yeah.
I have to ask you about Louisville and UK, and Louisville making the big splash early. We know what Flory Badunga and Jackson Shellstat can do. Certainly they got paid for doing it. And then it seemed like Kentucky had this money and nobody wanted it. And now we see, Momcilovic and coming out of the combine and withdrawing from the NBA draft. He's going to be in Lexington. Yeah. But what about these teams moving forward? What can we expect? The last time I saw Kentucky in person in Madison Square Garden, they were headed to the locker room with their tails between their legs.
Yeah. And, we saw them against Iowa State. It was the same.
Yeah.
It was the same thing in the NCAA tournament. Both Louisville and Kentucky are ranked between 10 and 20, which is not as high as either of them wants to be, probably. Certainly not where Louisville wants to be for the money they spent. But, preseason rankings being what they are, you just don't know. Louisville's interesting because I think they're a little different kind of team than Pat Kelsey's had in the past.
Yeah.
They took 53% of their shots from three-point range last year.
Wow.
And you, of course, saw them against Michigan State. And they had some pieces on that team. Everybody left except for one guard, and they've completely rebuilt. They have a lot more size than they had. Maybe not as much shooting as they had, but their quality. I think he's a good young coach who studies the game. It's going to be interesting because I feel like he's trying to change a little bit of what they do, get a little bit interior, get a little bit more serious defensively. And then I think Kentucky, it's a make or break year for Mark Pope because if they don't win, he's going to be in trouble. They need to do something. And I'm not sure they're equipped to do it, but Momcilovic is exactly the kind of player they need. He should get a lot of looks in Mark Pope's system. And they got their good young center back, Malachi Marino, who tested the NBA waters and came back. They got a lot of good role player type guys on that team. So they should be good with a chance to be really good. We just, you have to see how they all click and mesh and fit together. But shooting helps no matter what.
Eric, will Momcilovic be the highest paid player in NCAA history who was not first team all conference?
Hey, he could be. I don't know what I'm not sure what the number is. It changes every day. It's $6 million or more.
Yeah.
So there's at least that. That's quarterback money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, yes. That to answer your question, yes. And of course, the money doesn't matter so much if he keeps making 50% of his threes. But if he doesn't, then it's a whole lot of money for somebody that doesn't. And Pat Kelsey here likes to talk about the back of the bubblegum card, and that players are what they are, but that doesn't mean that the next year has to be as good as the last year. So, and it can also turn out to be better. So it's going to be fun to watch, but that's, you start missing shots and not shooting your usual percentage. It's the first thing that gets thrown in your face. And believe me, Kentucky heard it all last season with that $22 million roster.
Yeah.
And could hear it again.
Well, you talk about teams shooting a lot of threes. I guess they're used to that in Kentucky, even going back to Rick Pitino, right?
Yeah. No, that was the thing. And Kentucky did not shoot as many threes last year or the year before as Pope wanted them to.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he can figure out a way to get more up. He wants 30 a game, and I don't think they've made it in either of the past 2 years. So, and of course, shooting 30 a game and making a decent percentage of them are two different things.
That's right.
And so, you can shoot them all you want. It's nice to make them.
Last question for you, Eric, and I don't know that there is a budget or a finite number that they can't go over in terms of a spending cap. But we heard a number for Kentucky of over $22 million last year. Do you know what the budgets for UK and UL will be for players next year?
I feel like their basketball budgets are right in that area. I was told, and I believe from what I heard, that Louisville is not at $20 million.
Okay.
But would have been had they gotten on Chilovich, because they were bidding in there too.
Sure.
But they did not meet Kentucky's number.
Yeah.
I don't think Kentucky is probably over 20, but they're probably very close.
Yeah.
And it's not for lack of trying, because they went after some high-priced people that would have put them over 20 had they gotten them. The Tyron Stokes kid that went to Kansas being the main one.
Yeah.
So look, it's different here. They're willing to spend for basketball, and whether it's worth it or not, you can have a long debate on. But they're up there. They're both among the 10 or 12 biggest spenders in college basketball, and that's probably going to be the case every year. Whether they're in the top 10 or 12 teams at the end of the year, that's the concern. Because if you're not, man, what are you spending it for?
Exactly.
That's where it all lines up.
Eric Crawford, sports journalist, WDRB Television, and also a terrific writer, has been in Louisville for a long, long time. Eric, thanks for joining us, and don't let Haley spend all her time watching the Stanley Cup final.
Can't be helped. That's just going to happen.
It's going to happen. I understand. All right. We're going to stay right here, Rob, and welcome in Jim Hias, of course, a distinguished criminal attorney. All of his work for many decades here in mid-Michigan. And before that, Steve Garvey's roommate. I like to say that, even though Steve is not a Hall of Famer. I think Jim is. Certainly he's in the Greek Fans Hall of Fame. Jim, first of all, before we get talking about the Tigers, an institution is going away here. A restaurant that you know very well. It's got heavy Greek influence. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. But I'd like to make the record straight. I never was and never have been a criminal lawyer.
Okay, all right. Whatever you were good at it. I know that. I just keep hearing people say, "Well, Jim represented me." So
I made a living.
Okay. All right. He was good at getting the best for his clients. Let's just say that. All right. Do you want to talk about the restaurant here that we know so well on Grand River, and it's going to be turning of a page, right?
Yeah, it sure is. Of course, I harken back to the 60s, and what a great time we had there Wednesday night through Friday night in the show bar at the back of the restaurant.
Coral Gables?
That was the place to be. I mean, it was superb.
There was a time, you will remember, that East Lansing was a dry town.
That's right.
You either had to walk, and it's not a short walk, but it's certainly doable, to Gables, or if you were heading in the other direction, you could do that too. But it's not like you could just cross Grand River and find 12 bars.
Absolutely could not. No. The Gables was the place to be. There were some other places, but the Gables was the place.
Jim, another place that is often the place to be for young people and some older people, I have discovered, is Strikeout Baseball. I don't know if you have seen that now, but the new facility just north of the Capitol, and it is phenomenal. It's gotten a lot of national play. John Smoltz was just here for opening day, and we want to bring in the founder, the guy whose inspiration it was, and it's going to be spreading around the country. A guy who loves the Tigers as much as you do, believe it or not. I didn't know that was possible. I want to welcome in Jeff Lazarus. Jeff, how are you?
Good, Jack. How you doing?
Well, I'm fine, but I wasn't there at Comerica yesterday. You were. Can you talk about Kevin McGonigal Day?
Oh, it was unbelievable. It was certainly an uproar. The fans were excited. You know, the little win streak. We had a little loss peppered in there, but I think that, the Tigers got a little resurgence, and if we could turn things around and string together some wins, we won't feel as bad about the losing streak that we just encountered.
Jim, you're not old enough to have seen Charlie Gehringer, but you certainly saw a lot of Alan Trammell and Lou Whitaker. Do you think that down the road here, flashing way ahead, of course we don't know about injuries and the like, but is there a chance that we're going to be looking at Kevin McGonigal that way as the best player in this franchise for a long time?
I think there really is a chance that he'll be in the mold of Trammell and Whitaker. He does it all, and barring injury, and hopefully he continues to be a Tiger for his entire career. I agree with you. I think he's right in that mold.
Jeff, did you have those McGonigal goggles on yesterday? I don't know if you saw the young girl, Cece, who had the cups cut out and put into her glasses. And,
I didn't.
It's phenomenal. And she was interviewed by Daniela Bruce on the broadcast. But, she's talking about this and how it's her player, and she's going to come out and support him. And then, 15 seconds later, he hits this monster home run to right field. And then he has the 2-run walk-off single to give the Tigers that come-from-behind win. Maybe this is something you need to look into. I think that this might be a good deal. You could go into business with CC and benefit Strikeout Baseball.
Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts and things that are circulating right now. We're in talks with a lot of folks around the state, looking at expansion, looking at some future opportunities. But right now, our focus is on clinics for the summer. We're really excited to have the support and involvement from the Lugnuts. Coach Jake Boss is going to be bringing some collegiate players out to take part in helping work with some of the kids in the neighborhood, giving them some gloves, exposing them to the game, and teaching them strikeout because it's something new, exciting, unique.
Yeah.
And as we turn the corner in the exposure end of things, that's a trickle down because obviously being on your show, having John in town, John's making some connections as well. There's some talks about some other stadiums in honor of some past ball players. I'm not going to say any names, but we've already gotten the wheels turning and some other people really excited about what they see and what Strikeout Baseball can do and grow in the game.
What about tournaments, Jeff? Do you have plans for that? Are we going to see some of that this summer?
We'd like to. Right now I think it's geared. The tournament would be more for the advanced age players or the players who already love the game. And I think the soft spot for us is the exposure that we're gaining from getting kids playing the game. Had a couple of our board members were out and watched the games that were played here at Jackson by the Lansing high school teams the other day.
Yeah.
And, they're struggling with players.
Yeah.
And we really think that, given a little bit of time, that Strikeout Baseball could not only, elevate the interest level, but help make some of the kids better that don't practice enough or play enough. It's an outlet where kids can now come play baseball with 2 or 4 or 6 kids.
Right.
You don't need to get 18 kids together to play a game.
Well, maybe it can be an offshoot for high school baseball, and we have the Diamond Classic. Maybe we can have the Strikeout Classic and have high school teams represented over there. That's an idea. Or, talk about all the great City League baseball has been played over there. It'd be great to see a City League alumni all-star game over there. When we talk about strikeouts, Jim, we saw a pretty good pitcher yesterday at West Michigan going up against Dayton, and Tarek the Terrific struck out 6 in 5 innings, allowed 2 hits, no walks. Very efficient again, 44 strikes in 54 pitches. When is he back, and what do you think that's going to mean for the Tigers or the team that gets him from the Tigers?
Well, obviously, it'll give the Tigers a boost, but I don't look for him to, if he's successful and has 2 good starts with the Tigers, and he may have his first start this weekend when they play Cleveland.
Yeah.
According to what I read in the paper.
Yeah.
I believe that at that point they're going to trade him, because if you don't trade him, he's going to walk and you're going to get nothing.
Jeff, do you agree with that? Do you think that the Tigers are going to trade Tarek Skubal maybe by the All-Star break, or do you think he's going to be there leading this furious charge into the playoffs for Detroit?
I think he's got to still put up some numbers. I think obviously he's proven himself as a 2-time Cy Young Award winner, but I believe that he has to tough it out. He's going to have to show that he's a team player. He's going to have to show that he's a leader in the clubhouse. And I think that's going to help him hold his value for what he's worth. I mean, obviously guys get hurt, guys go on the DL, and they come back. A lot of these guys, look at Smoltz, look at a lot of the guys that have had Tommy John.
Yeah.
Those guys go on and have amazing careers. So him getting hurt isn't the end of his, valuability. But I still think that he's got to, ride the storm in the way of sticking it out with a team that maybe he's not excited to play for the Tigers. I don't know that. But, you gotta go with the hand that feeds you and do the best we can do, and I think he's going to do that for us.
I don't know Tarek Skubal well. I haven't spent that much time with him, but I've watched him pretty closely when I have been around him, and I think he loves Detroit. I think he really feels like he's part of the community. He showed up at all those other games. He's been to Michigan State, loves the Spartans, all of those kinds of things. He seems like a Midwest guy, even though he's from the West Coast. But money is money, and we know he's represented by Scott Boras. Jim, have you ever seen an attorney say, I think you ought to take less money?
No.
No.
I mean, it had to be, his intentions had to be well known when he retained Scott Boras.
Yeah.
As much as he seems to be part of the community and a really good kid, I think he's looking for generational money that will move on to grandchildren.
Yeah.
And it's the way things are now.
All right. Jeff, you're a little bit younger than Jim. Okay, you're fairly younger than Jim, quite a bit. But you did not see, neither of you saw Hal Newhouser pitch in the prime in the 1940s. And then you look back to Denny McLain and Mickey Lolich and Jack Morris, of course, Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer. The Tigers have been very, very well represented in the pitching department. Of all the pitchers you have seen where the Old English D, Jeff, where would you put Tarek Skubal?
He's in the top 3. I mean, obviously his stats will speak for themselves over the course of more playing time. But I think that, not many guys win back-to-back Cy Youngs. And, of course, you can't take away, what Lolich has done.
Yeah.
Obviously, you mentioned Max Scherzer, another great pitcher that, donned the Old English D. But I think that a guy like Tarek Skubal, once he, and I'm hoping he stays in Detroit. I'm hoping he stays a Tiger, obviously. But like you said, money's money. I think when you say Midwesterner, who's to say that one of our teams here in our region, in our division, don't take an interest and pay the big bucks? Because I don't know, the feedback, and this is just speculating based on what people say, is are the Ilitches going to spend the money to keep Tarek?
Yeah.
And if they do, I think everybody will be happy. And if they don't, then hopefully we get some good replacements and people that will come in and set the tone, because these owners are looking at the future of ball clubs. They're not looking for the immediate shot in the arm. And I think the Ilitches haven't owned the Red Wings and the Tigers all these years because they're not making good moves. And I know a lot of people will disagree with that, but I think that they've been in the industry long enough to make good decisions. I think they want to do what's best for the team. Everybody wants to win, and sometimes you got to pay the price to keep the guys that have the high price tags, and I hope that's where their mindset is in wanting to keep Skubal a Tiger.
Well, we know that Mike Ilitch paid the money, and it was winning first for him, even though he was not the owner. In '84, Tom Monahan was, when Detroit last won World Championship, and people who still refer to him as the world champions. Jim, when you think about a number 29, a left-hander, a bigger guy, there are some comparisons between Tarek Skubal and Mickey Lolich, but not in terms of workload. And you're never going to find Tarek Skubal or any other pitcher in Major League Baseball, certainly not Jacob Misiorowski, throw 376 innings in a year. Are you okay with this now? And when you see Skubal go out after 7, or we saw last week a guy who was in complete control got taken out after 65 pitches. Jim, are you okay with that, or do you have some words for A.J. Hinch?
I don't think it's got anything to do with A.J. Hinch. I think it's got to do with how these kids are trained in the minor leagues. They're trained to go out and throw as hard as they can for as long as they can. And that means they're going to go about 6 innings.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's got A.J. Hinch on it, but it's all around baseball.
Yeah.
Everybody wants a power arm, and they want a power arm that's going to pitch, for 6 innings, and then the bullpen is going to be loaded with power arms, as we saw Seattle this weekend. I mean, those guys.
Can I interject there? I just like to say, when you talk about that, that's true, because everybody wants the immediate results. You're talking about a game, a season, but what you have to look at is the longevity of a player's career. Yeah, you're talking about a player going all out for 6 innings, but the question is, can he do that for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, like some of these guys, like Smoltz and Verlander and these guys have done? Absolutely not. There's no way. And what they're geared to do is simply replace him with the next best player that's coming down the pipe.
I guess I just don't think 65 pitches is that many. If you get up into the 90s and you're talking about something else, but if a guy's giving up 2 hits and I don't know, especially when your bullpen is as shaky as the Tigers' bullpen has been, and you say, well, it's one game, you're not playing for one game, but you can miss the playoffs by one game as well. When you think about the Tigers' pitching staff, Jim, over the years, I mean, we rattled off a lot of them. We didn't even talk about Willie Hernandez, who won the Cy Young Award out of the bullpen. And even going back into the 50s, when I started watching the Tigers back in Briggs Stadium, they had a guy who threw a no-hitter in each league in Jim Bunning, Hall of Famer, and Frank Larry. So the Tigers have been blessed that way, not always in the hitting department, and that includes Jahmai Jones.
That guy's a classic minor leaguer.
Well, come on, he's 1 for 27. He's 0 for 16, but that means he's due, right? He keeps pinch hitting for Colt Keith.
What are you pinch hitting him for? I mean, come on. This guy's got no chance of hitting the ball right now. Anyway, getting back to the pitching, I agree with you. I agree with you. The guys that are going to – there's nobody that's going to win 300 games again.
No.
Because they don't pitch long enough. And I agree. They burn their arms out.
Yeah.
And that's why you don't sign Tarek Skubal for $50 million a year or $40 million. His next throw could be his last.
Yeah.
Someone's
going to do it. Someone's going to sign him.
Oh, yeah.
Make one more point here. We're talking about the pitching.
Yeah.
And we're talking about all these great arms and the longevity of their games and innings and careers.
Right.
I don't remember many times where no runs won a ball game, and one or two doesn't win very often.
That's right.
You got to get the bats rolling too. We got a lot of guys that are capable of hitting the ball and putting up numbers, and they're not doing it right now. And once they get clicking, I think it's a whole new season for the Tigers.
Yeah, they talk about analytics, Jeff, and I get it. I understand what the numbers say, and I think that as a benchmark, a general principle, there's a lot of wisdom in there, but I think there's something to managing involving feel and situations, and it not being a hard and fast deal. You know, if I've got a guy who is batting close to 300 and he can get the bat on the ball, I'm not necessarily going to pull him out for a guy who hasn't shown that he can hit anything in the last month, just because he bats right-handed instead of left-handed.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, Colt Keith, Kerry Carpenter are going to put the bat on the ball.
Yeah.
And you can't say that Jahmai Jones is going to do that right now in his career.
Yeah. So, Jeff, you were down there yesterday. You felt all the energy, all the excitement. People who were looking for the Tigers in the obits 1 week ago, now they're starting to look at their schedule for the fall and if they can get to a playoff game. What do you see for this team? How many wins are the Tigers going to have after game 162?
Oh, if we can get 90 wins, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, Jack, because, there's been a lot of teams, and the other thing is we have to take a look at the division we play in.
Yeah.
So that might play into our favor just a little bit, only because, when we got some teams that struggle alongside of us, maybe that helps us, coming into the home stretch and knowing that maybe we got hope for a wild card berth at that point, right?
Yeah. 90 wins would be 90 and 72. That would be 18 games over 500 the rest of the way. The Tigers are currently 12 games under 500, I believe.
Are you going to agree that it's doable?
Well, I've seen miracles. I guess if you can go 4-21, you can go 21-4. And we did see Cleveland last year come from 15.5 back of Detroit to win the division. So, there is some evidence that it is possible. Jim, what's your number? Are you going to push 90 or are you going to be a little more conservative?
Well, initially I thought they'd win 90.
Yeah, I did too.
But now I think if they finish with 82 or 83, that'll be terrific. And that might be enough.
I agree with that. I'm being optimistic.
Yeah.
I'm a lifelong Tiger fan.
Yeah.
I want to hang on to the hope that there'll be something to cheer for when we're watching baseball in September. And if there isn't, then I think there's going to be some turnaround in personnel.
Yeah.
Both on and off the field.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, rubber hits the road with what are we willing to pay for?
Yeah.
And who do we keep on the staff in the way of the decision makers?
Jeff, last question for you. Do you watch every Tigers game with the angst that your colleague here, Mr. Hias, does? When the Tigers lose on a walk-off, I know my phone is going to ring or I'm going to get a message. Or if they have a big win, I know the same thing. Do you live and die? Do you have trouble sleeping, eating, depending on the result of the Tigers?
Sadly, my answer has to be no, because I'm multitasking as we speak. I'm working one-handed, holding the phone in the other.
Yes.
And I have bills to pay, so it doesn't allow me to be the Tiger fan physically that I am spiritually.
Yeah.
But I will say that, kudos to the guys that can put the time in and enjoy games for the love of the game.
Yeah.
And thank you, Jack, for always, thinking of me when we're talking baseball because it's in my heart. You know that the stadium standing at Ferris Park is a testament to that, and kudos to our board and all the names and people that you see there. We're doing some amazing things to grow the game, and we're just starting. I think this is just the beginning. I really believe that. And if you haven't seen Strikeout Baseball, please get your followers to come out. The balls are there. Come and play. Throw the ball around. Bring your kids. Bring your wife. Bring your family when they're visiting from out of town because Strikeout Baseball is fun. And I think the first thing you said to me when you saw it was you didn't tell me how addicting this was.
Yeah, I can see how it would be. No question about that. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And may June be dyslexic from what May was for Tigers fans.
Appreciate the time, Jack. Thank you.
All right. I want to thank all of our guests today, Rob. Very busy show. Starting with Mike Garland, a longtime MSU assistant basketball coach, Tom Izzo's right-hand man, and Yuri Fisher, Detroit Red Wings defenseman, scout, you name it, and talking about Champions of the Heart, the gala tomorrow night at Breslin Center, and an unbelievable auction that is associated with that as well. Can't wait to get over there and see that. Brad Galley, 3-time Michigan Sportscaster of the Year, and now host of The Brad Galley Show. And you can see that on Facebook and YouTube and some great interviews, kind of thing that, Rob, I used to watch with a guy named Roy Firestone. And I think there's a lot of that in Brad Galley. Also want to thank Brad Fast, MSU assistant hockey coach, All-American, and part of, I would say, team moving forward. I would take Michigan State's chances against Boston College or Denver or Michigan or any other program because I think that they're going to go nowhere but forward. Eric Crawford from WDRB and does a great job there writing and broadcasting in Louisville along with our friend Haley Schoengart, and Jim Hias, distinguished area attorney, and Jeff Lazarus, founder of Strikeout Baseball. Appreciate their insight on the Tigers and the Major League season. We'll be back with you tomorrow, everyone. Have a great night.